Hey guys, this is Raz with My Campaign Coach, and the subject I want to talk about today is how important your block walking script is. I've worked with a lot of campaigns, and it seems like every time I talk to one, when it comes to talking about what they're going to ask about when they're block walking, the script they're going to use, it's always a crazy, difficult question that requires a lot of forethought, and they put a lot of time into it. And that's great. That's great to think about what's important and what people are going to talk about and the message you're conveying at someone's door. But I always tell them, don't get wrapped around the axle on that. And there was a book that I've been reading called Ground Wars that has really been helpful to me in understanding a little bit more of how and why to build some of these scripts. So one of the things that I start off with is absolutely start out with a full script. You want to make sure you're telling your folks exactly what you want them to say at the door. Script it out entirely, give them different versions, give them different iterations based on the feedback they get. But what we don't want them to do is go off that like a robot. This is about conversations. What ultimately decides whether somebody's going to support you or not, and what they take away from your conversation is going to be based on the interaction they have. So that's why the quality of the person is so important. We want to focus on high quality interactions, and that means that we cannot expect them, we don't even want them to go 100% off the script. If they were, they would just be reading off as a robot, and that's not going to be building that human interaction that we want to actually facilitate. So what you want to do is you want to give them that full script, but next you want to let them know what the main lead behinds are. So what do you want that person, as they're closing the door, going back to their lives, dinner, or whatever else you just interrupted, what are they taking back with them away from your campaign? So what does that conversation leave behind? So in many cases, it's one, you just Wi-Fi side, so hopefully this isn't going to break in too much. But the first thing is you want to lead that positive association. So you want them to have something nice associated with your campaign, because they may know nothing else about you. Chances are most offices and races are down ballot. They don't get a whole lot of press. They don't get a whole lot of attention even on social media. So you just want to have your name next to something positive that happened in their life. And having somebody that's nice and smiling and is educated and communicative that shows up at their door is a huge step to that. That's why we do block walking. So that's the number one. More than anything else, more than data you collect or talking points you leave behind, that's always the number one thing you want to have left when your person walks away from the door. Second, you probably have your top couple issue points or talking points you want to have left behind. So depending on your race, depending on what's important to you, hey, we have all these different things that we're interested in talking about or leaving behind, but ultimately, these are the two that we care about. So make sure that those are the top ones, and you communicate out of all the things, here are the top couple issues or data points about our background and history that we want you to leave live. Second, you want to leave around what your primary takeaways are. So as your person, as a block walker, walks away from that interaction, what do they know more about that person, the voter they just talked to, than before? So oftentimes you want to have some information about them for further targeting. So maybe it's now their top issue, or what issues are most important to them that keep them up at night, and what's going to help decide where their vote is going to be going come election day. Two, you probably want to know a little bit more about the contact information. So maybe you're trying to get email addresses or phone numbers. Anything about that can be very helpful. And you often want to find out more about generally kind of where they stand on the political spectrum. So this is especially important in a general election scenario where you have independent voters and you don't have primary election data to help suggest whether they're going to be in your camp or the other. Alternatively, on primary elections, you want to find out. So we're to ask these questions to make sure that we're getting the right idea, because all these data points, we want to make sure that these people and have a more productive conversation on the issues in the future. And so if we don't know much about them, then we're not going to be able to have our best foot going forward in the future. So we got these things we want to collect, but it's important you communicate what the most important parts of that collection of data are as they're maintaining the integrity of that positive interaction. Then that's all the areas where you feel are most important. Lastly, tell them on what you don't want them to talk about. If there are specific issues that you think are going to be hurtful to you and that you don't want them to bring up, or specific things that you don't want them to talk about or raise in the conversation, make sure you let them know that. So you want to fully script it, give them the full script, and let them know big picture what you would say at the door. Two, you want to let them know what your primary leave behinds are, what you most want them to know, what the primary takeaways are that you want to bring back to the campaign. And five, you want them to know what not to say. So if you deploy those 5 strategies when you're getting your block walkers ready, as you're training them and getting them out the door, you're going to have incredible success You're going to leave a lot of good impressions, and you're going to get back a lot of useful data that's going to be helpful when you move from identification to persuasion and then on to get out the vote. I hope you guys have a great day, and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think of the video and what your favorite tip is. We'll talk to y'all soon.